Platform Women in Tech virtual group. Thank you all for joining us today. We're very excited. Hopefully, most of you who are joining us on the call right now, you found us through Meetup. If not, you're finding us through our YouTube channel and catching this later. This is our website, our Meetup. We are on Twitter. We are also on Blue Sky. We're on LinkedIn. There are lots of different ways to find us. Please do. Hope you connect and you'll continue to join with us in the future. Jumping ahead to next month, February, Future of Data Engineering Tools, Trends, Tools, and Technologies with Shreya Agarwal. I hope I'm pronouncing her name properly. If not, I apologize. I'm trying to do this really quickly, but we're looking forward to having that. We've got a lot of great lineup. I think we're confirming out to September, and I've got a couple more to confirm. So it's a great lineup of speakers. Hope you can join us for future meetups. We're really excited about all of this stuff. But you're here for today because I'm also really excited for this because I need this a lot too. It's using technology to lessen rushing women's syndrome. And Joy Apple is our presenter today. And so with that, I'm going to stop sharing and get it over to Joy. So Joy, feel free to share your screen and looking forward to hearing all about this.
Thank you. Thank you. So let's let technology do its thing here. Here it goes. Thinking about it. All right, so it looks like PowerPoint Live is working with us today. That's always nice. Well, thank you. Thank you for allowing me to come and present this topic. And thanks for those of you that are here today. So yes, we're going to be talking about using tech to reduce rushing women's syndrome. And if you're like me, or like I was a few years ago, you're like, what the heck is that? Is that even a thing? Stick with me. Stick with me. All right. My name is Joy Apple. I am a Microsoft MVP, and I'm the Director of Success for Orchestrate. Over the course of the last, I think I've been in tech for about 16, this year will be 17 years. I've had the privilege of speaking mostly in the US, but also internationally. I am very, very passionate about the digital workspace. In fact, I spend most of my time talking about governance. I don't know which turn I took in my career where governance became a very exciting thing for me. But here I am. When I'm not doing tech, I write a monthly article, a quarterly article for a magazine called She is Tulsa here in the Tulsa, Oklahoma area where I live. And also, fun fact, I'm a drama and theater major. So obviously, I went into technology. What else would you do? As we go throughout the session today, if you have questions, comments, observations, or we say at my company, remarks, please feel free. Chat, I'll be trying to keep an eye on chat, though sometimes I get into actually I don't see chat. So if we have the ability to unmute, let's just do that. We'll make this a conversation. And I'm especially excited about this conversation because it's very different from what I usually talk about. Usually I'm talking about governance. I'm talking about AI readiness, or I'm talking about intelligent intranets inside of Microsoft 365. But today, talking about something that I realized was significantly impacting me, probably starting like 3 or more years ago, but it was really only about 2.5 or 3 years ago, I realized what was going on. And since talking is one of my favorite things to do, I thought I would turn it into a session. So here we are. Rushing woman syndrome. It's a way of life. It's hopefully one that we correct. It's a place where we find ourselves. This is not technically a medical diagnosis. I'm not a doctor. I read a lot and I've experienced it. And I have a feeling as we go through this, you'll sit there and go, oh yeah, right? But what rushing woman syndrome is, it's this way of life that impacts our nervous system. And that sets off a series of dominoes that begins to fall. I have a link here to an article. It's out of an Australian publication website that I found very insightful. The first time I heard this phrase, this is where I went to read more about it. So I thought I would share that. So here's the scoop on rushing woman syndrome. And obviously I did not do my transitions correctly. That's okay. Oh, look at that. They're backwards. We'll just get them all up here. So there are 2 branches to the nervous system. There's the sympathetic nervous system and there's the parasympathetic nervous system. And, I kind of remembered learning about this in health class and biology, whatever, you got to pass the test and you go on with your life. But over the last couple of years, I've really started cueing into this because our sympathetic nervous system, that's our fight or flight. That's like when somebody startles us and we jump or we run or we throat punch or elbow, right? It's that instant reaction. Parasympathetic is the part of our nervous system that goes on autopilot almost: rest, digest, repair, reproduce. It's the thing that's just taking care of the day-to-day operations. So when our parasympathetic nervous system is healthy, we pull nutrients in from our food. We're able to heal and repair as we sleep, all that good kind of stuff. But many of us find that day to day, I'm not doing enough. I need to do more. I'm not good enough. Oh, I could have done this better. And it's this kind of cycle where we always feel like we have to rush to do more. We have to be more responsive. Oh, I have to respond to this thing. I need to post more content. I didn't write enough blogs. I didn't put anything on Instagram. Always, 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 always. Most women, and I'm going to say globally, I'm going to see most women that are like in Europe, the UK, North America, we live in this state of sympathetic nervous system dominance, where we always feel like there's this fight or flight, must rush, must do more situation. What we call that, or what they call that, is sympathetic nervous system dominance. And it can kind of set us up to always have this response just to normal everyday things, where if we could just breathe, it wouldn't feel so extreme. But we're overburdened and our system is running like on way too much coffee all the time. Well, why does it matter? Well, because we as women have a pretty complicated hormonal hierarchy. I chose a very simple diagram that I got from Dr. Mindy Pelz. Her information that she puts out on the interwebs has drastically helped me and helped me improve my life. So what I've learned over the last few years, cortisol is our number 2 hormone in this hierarchy. We got the really good, feel good oxytocin and then cortisol. And I think most of us know cortisol is our stress hormone, right? If that is out of balance, it impacts every other hormone underneath it. Why does that matter? Because we're biological creatures. I mean, we have those amazing days where we feel superhuman, but we are human. So if we start getting super stressed out at this level, well, then that means insulin gets messed up. We become insulin resistant. We start seeing issues with how our body is using food, right? All kinds of things start happening. And it starts, again, that series of dominoes where we're talking about these other female hormones. It starts messing with our estrogen, our progesterone, our testosterone, right? Told you this is going to be a very different topic than what I'm sure we usually talk about when women in tech, but we're getting there. We're going to talk about some fun stuff. So if that starts happening, yes, we're still in the setup. If that starts happening, then our stress response goes into overdrive, right? That sympathetic nervous system dominance. Everything's fight or flight, which means we're not regulating our responses properly, which means we're probably not resting properly. We're probably not nourishing ourselves properly. Does this sound familiar to anyone? And I found this meme years ago, and it always makes me giggle, probably because it's a little bit too true. That one more email comes in and it's like, gotta get away. And I'm curious if for anyone else, does this start to set us up to thinking about, oh, this feels way too familiar. Or maybe that phrase, oh, it's just stress. I'm just stressed out. Well, that starts to feel kind of lame when we're thinking about the fact that stress is impacting our insulin resistance and the way our body is functioning, literally from the top down. The ways this will manifest itself, you feel tired, but you're also kind of amped up and restless a lot. Sleeping is a struggle. I've gone through a phase over the last 2 years where I've been waking up 15 to 20 times a night for no apparent reason. And it's exhausting. and you're dead tired, but you just can't sleep. And you're constantly afraid you're not doing enough. You're letting people down. That old imposter syndrome can start to rear its ugly head because your body is like, listen to me, hear me. There are things happening that are keeping me from being healthy. Okay, why? Why is this happening? Did I hear an unmute? Any questions, observations, or fun stories? Or am I just hallucinating?
You're totally speaking my language right here. So I'm in a blank room, but you're totally speaking my language. So keep going.
Oh, love it. Thank you. And I'm sorry, but thank you. Let's look at some numbers. We're going to talk about work stuff first. Then we're going to transition into maybe a little bit more like I call non-work stuff real world. Work world, real world. All right. When we shifted to a more hybrid workplace, we saw crazy changes in things because everything became a meeting. And I think it was going into 22 that the number of the work trend index was there was over a 200% increase in meetings. In fact, the number was 232%, but I changed it because I feel like for those organizations that have gone back to more in-person, in office, maybe that number has started to come back down, but we're still at over 200% increase in our meetings. Overall, and I think we can all attest to this, not just in work, but out of work in the real world, digital messaging is insane. In fact, as I'm talking, I realize my work teams is not recognizing that I'm presenting. So I'm getting all the pings. I've got WhatsApp. I've got, all the social media apps. I've got Outlook, personal Outlook, work Outlook, MVP Outlook. All these things are always fighting for our attention and our response. And it feels like, tell me if I'm crazy or not, over the last 5, maybe more years, there is an increased pressure to always be responsive, to always be connected, to always be online. And I think we start to want to blame the pandemic for that, but we can't, or I can't. I won't speak for anyone else. In 2019, my husband and I took our Jeep and we did a Colorado road trip in the summer. It was amazing. But guess what I was doing? I was on Teams responding to my team because it was just a quick, easy question. I can do this. And he totally called me out. He said, you have this amazing view before you and you're looking at Teams. What's going on? Oh, right. There's an expectation. Sometimes that's internal that we're always on. But that starts to raise a little bit of question for us. Okay, this is true. These things are happening. How do we make it better? We can't just not work. I mean, I kind of have a dream. I think when I'm done with tech, I'm going to go be a hippie somewhere and have goats and do fun stuff and maybe never look at technology again. But between now and then, I still have to be able to eat. So how do we make it better? A lot of words on this slide. I apologize. But my goal for this is also to be a resource, not just a visual aid. Asynchronous communications for the win. Teams, as I think we all feel today, can be a little frustrating. It's a little bit of a challenge. Sometimes it feels like it hates us, but it can also be a very powerful tool for us. I lead the success team at Orchestry. Most of our communication we do in chat. Maybe that's easier for more technical focused teams than non-technical teams, but I don't think it's very difficult. And I think it is something, there's a lot of different ways we can see what works best for our teams in teams for our teams, right? We've got options. You could request status updates instead of having a weekly meeting or a 3 times a week meeting where everybody has to stop what they're doing and go online. Request updates in a dedicated Teams channel. Use various ways you can configure Teams to have announcements, get information. One company I used to work for, and I've started adopting it at Orchestry, is an announcement would be made, and the request was always, please acknowledge you have read this with a thumbs up emoji. And we could keep track and make sure. And if we saw that someone didn't thumbs up it, time to go again, right? If you've adopted the very broad digital workplace at your organization, have some things in your intranet. Some things may live in Teams. Some things could go to Viva Engage, where we kind of engage, to use the word again, across our organization and across org charts a little bit more than Teams does. If you've invested in the Viva suite, Viva Amplify, it's a beautiful tool. I wish we'd had it from the very beginning of SharePoint. Can streamline having that same message look and feel across multiple platforms in your organization. Do you need to have a brainstorm meeting where people are having to stop what they're doing again and get on a call? Or could you have a Loop? If you haven't used Loop, I love Loop. Try it. It's a phenomenal tool. I have a lot of Loops, but they're all in action and they're all very useful, where you can get together, brainstorm, have different components. If it needs to be more visual, whiteboard, a virtual whiteboard can help you do that. There's all kinds of different ways that we can use these tools. Another favorite of mine to maybe reduce the meeting overload is the Updates app in Teams. If you're not familiar with that, you can go to those 3 dots on the bottom of your left rail, that far left side of Teams. Click the 3 dots and search for Updates. And there's an app that you can use. I have used this quite a lot. How long have we had Teams now? 6 years, maybe 7? Ooh. Weekly updates, status updates, project updates. There's all kinds of really nice templates in there. There's one even for maybe teams that are more focused on things like safety, where you do an incident report. You can even create your own templates. So you can send these out, ask for specific information, set a due date, send it out. Very nice. Let teams get that information and bring it back to you. And hopefully that's at least one less meeting on your calendar. But now sometimes we know it just has to be a meeting. Sometimes there's no way around it. Sometimes it's best if we do just have a meeting. What are ways we can make it a better meeting? Please, 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 please. And I'm still working on being better at this. Have an agenda. Let folks know what the expectation is. I think that's very important. Especially, I had some days leading up to the holidays where I had 15 meetings in a day. Knowing what to expect going into that meeting was a tremendous help. It also let me know, you know what? I got added to this meeting, but this has nothing to do with me. I have no insights. Decline. Politely decline and put a little message in there that says, I don't think I could bring any value to this, but if you feel I'm wrong, let me know. Who's in charge of the meeting? What are we going to talk about? What are the expected outcomes? Right? Set those expectations. Does it need to be an hour-long meeting? Not always. I don't think always, but somehow over our professional lives, 1 hour kind of became a standard meeting time. I've gone into Outlook now and I have changed my standard meeting length to 45 minutes. So there are some things we can do to get in, get it done, and get out and go back and actually do the work we need to be doing, not just talking about it. So again, Outlook can bring to us some pretty good options. If it's going to be a hybrid meeting, some people are in the office, some people are wherever it is they work from. Making sure that that meeting space, whether it's virtual or physical, can accommodate everyone, regardless of if they're sitting at the conference room table or at their home office desk or their kitchen table, or, maybe even on travel or something. Will the conference room support the Teams meeting or the Zoom meeting or the go-to meeting? Does it have everything we need so everybody feels like they're an equal participant? And again, having that agenda helps everybody. In fact, Carol Wanagatimu, who's now I think she's the director now over all of the M365 team at Microsoft, her phrase is, no agenda, no attenda. I love that. Now, I can't always get away with that. That's a very empowering thought, isn't it? Sticking to the time is super useful. If you're in a conference room, the people that are in line for the conference room appreciate it. The people that are working remotely that may be back to back to back to back to back calls appreciate the chance to get more water and maybe even, crazy talk, have a bio break before they have to jump into their next call. And I think it's important to keep in mind that research shows virtual meetings are more stressful than face-to-face meetings. Because I'm trying to think, I'm like arm's length from my webcam and my screen, right? Which means I have no idea how that long is. 2 feet? I don't know. That's very close proximity to be staring at other people's faces. If we were in a conference room, we would not all be in a very, very tight circle, 24 inches away from each other, just staring each other in the eye for 45 minutes or an hour straight. We're not meant to do that. There's really only 2 times when human beings stare each other down for prolonged periods of time. One is if we're about to throw down and have a fight, and one is if things are getting a little romantic. I'm hoping neither of those are happening in our work meetings. Maybe, I don't know, I don't judge. But that's really not what our brains are designed to do. And I can remember when we first went totally virtual with all these meetings and the webcams all went on, feeling like you had to sit still. All right, if I'm in a conference room, I'm not sitting still. I'm probably fidgeting in my chair. Sometimes you lean back, sometimes you lean forward. And it was probably a year in. I was like, I can't stay in my little box all day long. If I'm standing, boy, I'm shifting from foot to foot. Right now, I'm sitting kind of crisscross in my chair. We've got to bring human nature back to our virtual meetings and understand the fact that we're on these virtual calls. We're inviting our colleagues and our coworkers into our home. You may see dogs run by. I had a customer once whose little girl came and sat in his lap because it was her bedtime. We're human. And I think bringing that human element, letting go of some of the stress can reduce the burden of all those virtual calls. All right. Last thing is just being mindful of the participants. In a virtual call, typically we use like the raise hand feature or chat to let people know we have a question, something like that. And I appreciate when it's a hybrid situation that everyone raises their hand. In fact, I've got some customers that even if they have people in the conference room, they're still all logging into Teams and using the Teams hand raise feature before they speak in the meeting. That way, your virtual and your in-person attendees have that equal opportunity to speak, to ask questions, and to be part of the conversation. And I think that's fabulous. All right. So I have one little tiny bit of homework for you. And that's to maybe, right, there's no grade on it, maybe go back and look at your Outlook settings and see, would it work for you in the culture of your organization to shorten your default meeting from an hour to 45 minutes? Or, go big or go home, 30 minutes. And I would also encourage you to look at the settings where, so you see here, I've got highlighted. If it's going to be less than an hour, shorten it by 5 minutes, which means a 25-minute meeting. If it's going to be an hour or longer, shorten it by 15 minutes. But have you noticed there's an increase with meetings starting like 5 minutes after the hour or the half hour instead of ending early? It's weird. Can we agree? It's weird when you see that a meeting starts at 10:15, not 10 o'clock. But let's talk about that psychology for a minute. If we have a 45-minute meeting scheduled and it's going to start at 10, what are the odds at 10:45, someone's feeling especially chatty? Hey, can we go for another few minutes? Anybody got things scheduled for the next 15 minutes? And people are like, no, I don't have anything. No, I'm free. Yeah, I'm free to the top of the hour. And the meeting goes long. Then the top of the hour comes, you've got your next call. Do you need a drink of water? Do you need to go to the restroom? Does your dog need to go outside? Too bad. There you are. You're stuck now. But if we started 15 minutes after the hour, no one's going to hit 11 o'clock and go, can we keep going? No, because it's the top of the hour now. It's time to stop. So think about that and utilizing that little, I don't think we call everything a hack now, that little meeting hack. Then if your next call doesn't start till 5, 10, or 15 minutes after the hour, you've got a break and you can go do those things that humans need to do. And it keeps you from being into that back to back to back to back loop. Meetings, we all know they wear you out. They can be exhausting. Some are fun. Most are just tiring. But if you take a moment, even just literally 60 seconds inside of Viva Insights, which is another app inside of Teams, there is a little wellness section or well-being section. And one of the things that's there is the ability to take a 60-minute breathing break. And we've got some graphs I'm going to show you in a minute. What this means, you literally take 60 minutes between transitioning from one call to another. Your mind deals with that transition so much better. And as the charts are going to show in a minute, the stress doesn't build up in you because you're ending one thing, breathing, and then going to the next. Right. So let's talk about reducing stress while increasing productivity. Your brain works different when you take breaks. You will be more productive if you pause, if you give yourself a chance to take a break. So the next few slides, I got this information from Microsoft's Work Trend Index, and the link, I believe, is on the next 3 slides. So the top line here, these were people that were not taking breaks between 4 back-to-back meetings. And the red is bad here. So the red is showing a buildup of beta waves and stress. So the first one's fine. The next one, we're a little stressful, more stress. And then that next one's interesting because the stress didn't get even worse. They disconnected. They're not really plugged into what's going on because they're wiped out. The bottom row is showing engagement and lack of stress because there were breaks between the meetings. And the Work Trend Index goes way more in depth than just that little glimpse. Same here. This is measuring engagement. So when there were breaks between the meetings, the engagement got higher. When there was not, I'm out, whatever. I've been sitting still in front of a webcam for 3 hours. Whatever, sure, it's fine, right? So not only does stress build, but engagement reduces. So it's less productive. And then this is showing the beta waves in the minds of the people that are sitting through, these poor test subjects, sitting through 4 nonstop meetings. You see in this top row here, this is where the meeting is transitioning. It's like this steady state. In fact, it spikes a little bit. Let's get rid of that. Get rid of that. Go away. Thank you. And same thing kind of starts to happen here, right? But there's this top level where you're seeing these spikes hit, because they're constantly switching with no break, no chance to take a beat. Down here, there's these short little breaks. Look at that. Massive difference. It's amazing. But at the end of the day, there are tools that can help you wind down, rest, not rest so much, but gives you the ability to rest later because you're closing your day out. Now, the virtual commute was created by the Teams team when we were all kicked out of our offices and had to work remotely, regardless of whether we wanted to or not, right? I almost feel that this is useful for anyone, regardless of if you're going into the office and you have that traditional commute where you can listen to your music really loud and scream on your way home or not. I'm the only one that did that. I've done that. All right, let's play. So here it's letting you review your upcoming meetings. If you haven't accepted them, maybe you should. So this is like, okay, this is what's coming up tomorrow. Oh, I can't take that because I've got a conflict. So I'm preparing, I'm being aware of what's coming up the next day. Now I have a chance to review the tasks. I can check off any that I accomplished, and I can make sure I capture any from today I need to make sure I'm ready for tomorrow, or I can schedule them for an appropriate time. And what this means is my brain's not going to be stuck in this loop of going, don't forget about this, don't forget about this, you need to do this tomorrow, you need to do this tomorrow. You're capturing it here so you're ready when you come into your office the next day. Now you have a chance to wind down, maybe do a breathing exercise, maybe reflect on how you feel today. I wish this lets you capture notes, but it's just, hey, how do you feel? And you're done. It's not long. There's some days I kind of blow this off, and I shouldn't, because it's such a difference between doing that little exercise and walking out of my office to join the real world, or not, and just going, okay, don't forget, you got to do this tomorrow. You need to do these things, right? Take that burden off your brain and give yourself the ability to let go of work, put it to bed for the day, and you've captured everything you need to know to start all over tomorrow. I really do. I really do enjoy the virtual commute. But again, with great power of technology comes great responsibility to ourselves, right? The mobile apps make it too easy to be connected. 24/7 online engagement is not healthy. It's not good for us. And literally, I built this slide in the parking lot of a restaurant before going into dinner with my husband and my mom. So yeah, that was awesome. I didn't have to wait or forget. But then again, I did look up from the screen, and my husband was standing in the parking lot looking at me like, are you going to come? Balance. There must be balance in the force. So that's work life. And there's a lot to it. And it absolutely impacts our real world life. So how do we also use technology to help ourselves in the real world? I'm going to say one of the first things that's the hardest things to do is to prioritize yourself without feeling guilty about it. That is very hard for me. I think as women, we struggle with that more. We're built a little different. I used a picture of my cat for this slide. Cats don't feel guilty about anything. You can catch them doing something and they'll look at you. So I did it. I wanted to. And then they just trot on along. They don't care. And they're really good at prioritizing sleep. If you ever noticed that. I feel like if we can talk about our priorities as goals, it helps take the guilt away. And I don't know why that is. I think because we view having a goal as being ambitious and we're to do something. And we have built a culture that celebrates the grind. Oh, look how I keep my house this way and I do all these things and I work out 10 times a week and I'm always okay. But what's your goal for you? And do those daily decisions that you make every day, does that align with your goal? The example I have, because this was really hitting hard for me a couple of years ago, my goal was to be less tired when it was family time, to step out of my office and to actually have some energy and positive emotions left for the people in my house. Okay, that sounds like a great goal. Who would ever make you feel guilty about that? That's a wonderful goal. Okay, so what are my daily decisions that support that goal? For me, it was learning to delegate some tasks to other members of my team. I didn't have to do them all myself. That also meant I could delegate tasks at home. Fortunately, my husband loves to cook and maybe is a little critical when other people cook. Okay, I'm going to stop killing myself to have my 15 meeting days and go have a dinner ready by 5:36. Delegate a little bit. We share that burden. He does more than I do, but that was something that it just made sense to let go of. Another thing, a decision that I typically am not good at making is respecting the time boxing I've got on my calendar to do things. instead of feeling the need to just meet anyone's request for a quick call or can we meet today. Sometimes you have to push your task time, but you don't always have to. And by doing that, I'm getting my work done. I'm still meeting the needs that other people that I work with have, but I'm not overloading myself, which means I'm going to be less tired at the end of the day. If when you're doing those things, and I've read this and I'm trying my best to live it, by being fully present in what you're doing, you're going to accomplish that task much faster than if you're multitasking and trying to do 5 things at the same time. I think research has shown that multitasking by and large is a lie. We don't do the one thing well, we do the 5 things good enough. Be fully present. Knock it out. Knock it out of the park. And then you'll feel better about your brain power, your energy level, and your accomplishments for the day. At least that's what they say. Communicate. Let people know. I think, so I'm Gen X, and I think especially like the older Gen X, we have this ability to just suck it up. Don't talk. Don't show those emotions. Just go get it done. That doesn't really work well in the real world. If I can let people around me know this is what I'm doing, this is why I'm doing it, and this is my expectation, then you'll find that people will come alongside you and help support. Hey, my goal is to have better quality family time. So I'm not going to be working till 7 o'clock every night. Hey, if something comes up, I'll do it, but it's not my standard anymore. And people will go, oh, yeah, that makes sense. You're also going to reduce guilt that way because I feel bad when I miscommunicate something to my team and there's a misunderstanding. But if I'm better at communicating and communicating more, the chances of that miscommunication reduce. And don't compare is the last thing I've got on this particular slide. What is it? Comparison is the thief of joy. I think that's very true, but social media definitely makes it all too easy to fall into the trap of comparing. You see like those gorgeous, amazing houses. I saw one where they open up a door and they just roll their Christmas tree into it every year. Can you imagine? Yeah, but then you don't get the fun of opening up and experiencing those ornaments every time. So maybe that isn't really what would bring me joy in my life. You see these, just all these things, how much of it is real? But beyond social media, I think we can fall into the pit of comparing ourselves to our coworkers and our colleagues. I am not my CEO. I am not a vice president of a successful technology company. I'm not my sister. I'm not my brother. I'm not my BFF. I am me. And I truly believe we are created to be us because the world needs us. So that comparing pulls away from the awesomeness of what we are and what we bring to the table. So stepping back from that and just learning, hey, this is awesome. Is this weird? 100%. But sometimes weird is what the world needs. So we just roll with it, celebrate it, and get that stress out of there. So my secret weapons. Saturday mornings, by and large, are mine. And this is something that has come about just in the last year or so. Well, maybe more than that now. My husband goes, it's what I call his old man breakfast. And he has like at 7:30 in the morning. It's ridiculous on a Saturday morning. But he and his guy friends, they go have breakfast, which means I get to sleep. It's amazing. But he doesn't need sleep. So before it was like 7:30 in the morning, you going to sleep the day away? If I want to, I might. That struggle's gone. Now, maybe I do wake up at 7:30 or 8. I really don't want to go back to sleep. That gives me time to do things that make me very happy, even if it's just sitting on the couch with my fluffy blanket and drinking my coffee till 10. Awesome. Okay. No one's judging. And I have decided with some guilt, I'm working through it, if something's going to drain me and I can opt out of it responsibly, I do. One of the big things, and this took some transition in my house, grocery shopping. Some days it's an adventure and we'll go 5 or 6 places and it's great and we spend the day. Some days, don't ask me to leave my house. I just can't. I need to be a burrito, wrapped up in a blanket, sitting on the couch, warm, cozy, and not moving. Instacart. Now, my friends in Canada, I don't believe have Instacart. It makes me sad because it has truly helped me regain some time on the weekends that I just need to recover. And it's okay to press that easy button, whether it's meal kits or getting the pre-packaged meals at like Costco or Sam's or Sprouts. So you have something sitting in the fridge when you are just done. Easy button. Here's the meal, right? It's okay. In fact, it's awesome to press that easy button sometimes. But as we wrap up, I'm going to have a few little bullet points here. Embracing technology, whether it's at work or at home. Instacart is probably my favorite personal use app for when I just need to save my own energy. But at work, Teams, Viva Engage, Loop, they can definitely help you reduce your context switching if we're good about notification management, asynchronous communication. Prioritizing your well-being. Because if you let yourself break down, and you're one of us, type A women, you must do all the things all the time. I heard a doctor say once, you're going to take a break. The question is, will it be when you decide or when your body decides? So prioritize that well-being. Find that balance for you between what you can do, what you must do, and what you need to do. Find the efficiency in meetings, right? Have those agendas. Stick to the time as much as it is within your control. Those daily decisions that you make, give yourself moments to pause. Your brain will thank you, and which means actually in the long run, your brain absolutely will thank you, because if we allow stress to keep building up and it impacts our insulin resistance, they're now finding that Alzheimer's is an insulin problem. Which is crazy to me. They're now calling it type 3 diabetes. All goes back to how our body is dealing with insulin. So it really is important. Personal stress management. What's the easy button you can hit to be able to still be present at home, have you present, right, with your full range of emotions and your full presence, really bringing joy to those times. Whatever your family looks like, you're there, you're present. Again, reducing that stress so you can enjoy the moment and commit to the change. I've been working on this for about 3 years now. Working on it can be its own type of stress. So don't compare yourself to where other people are. Find what goals, what priorities you need. Let the technology around you support you, not tear you down. And that's all I've got. Again, very different than my typical sessions on governance or AI or all that jazz. But I hope this has been useful for you. I appreciate you all coming here. The QR code will take you to my LinkedIn profile and on Twitter, and I think Blue Sky too. I'm there. I just haven't really done much yet. Joy of SharePoint, I think. But yeah, that's it.